at the White House today. Republicans gathering their sort of alternative proposals, and we're joined by Republican Congresswoman Cynthia Lummis, Republican from Wyoming. Thank you so much for being here, Congresswoman.
Happy to be here. Thank you.
I want to just start, let's put cap and trade aside for one moment, and I want to go through the president's goal when it comes to carbon emissions. He wants to reduce greenhouse gas emissions 80% by 2050. Is that an okay goal? Can we at least get everyone together on the idea of that as being a goal we should aim for?
Well, goals are important to set. I believe that we do need to recognize that climate change is occurring. What we haven't agreed upon is the role of mankind in being able to affect those kinds of changes. And while the goal is appropriate, the means to get there is not, I believe, receiving the kind of agreement that the president would have hoped.
We heard Congressman John Boehner, the House Minority Leader, talk about this a few weeks ago. But is it, in your mind and to some of your colleagues' mind, an open question as to the role that man has had on global warming? Or are we moving beyond that as a political and as a science issue?
You know, the greater question is whether we can do anything to alter the climate changes that are occurring. And that is something that has considerable disagreement among both scientists and policymakers.
Well, wait, you mean whether there's anything at all that we could do to reverse this? More fuel-efficient cars, less pollution in the country, that would not, you don't think, start reversing some of this trend, or at least halting its growth?
It's very important that we reduce pollution. And that we clean up our air. The incidence of asthma associated with pollution in our cities is growing. It's very important that we have more fuel-efficient vehicles and that we insulate our buildings and that we behave responsibly with regard to our energy consumption. But the fact of the matter is China has passed us with regard to emitting carbon, and the United States could shut down its entire economy. And if Russia, India, and China do not do the same, will have no effect on the global environment.
Congresswoman, we've heard a lot recently about the importance of Republicans offering some ideas. So I'd give you the opportunity here. What are some of the ideas that Republicans are bringing to the table as this debate makes its way through the Congress?
Well, once again, we do need to insulate buildings and make them more energy efficient. We do need more multi-fuel cars and electric cars, but to do it in a way that impairs our economic growth is inconsistent with Republican values. I believe that we should be using our entrepreneurship, our know-how to advance technologies for carbon sequestration, for using some of the fuels that we have more efficiently. I believe in the all-of-the-above approach to energy, and it has to include nuclear power, because nuclear is non-carbon emitting. So for this administration to go forward with plans that do not include nuclear and advances in nuclear really leaves something off the table that is absolutely critical in order to meet their goals.
You say everything on the table. That includes a cap and trade system?
It includes a multiple attack with regard to fuels, including traditional and non-traditional fuels. It does not, in my mind, include cap and trade, because cap and trade is just a national energy tax.
Okay, so one of the ideas that's out there is a possible compromise to get beyond the idea of this being an energy tax that both Congressman Markey and Congresswoman Waxman have been talking about, is perhaps to give away credits to utilities that emit pollutants for about 10 years, so that it doesn't affect prices, but that gets the system in place to start bringing down these emissions. What do you think about that? Is that a possible place for compromise?
Well, the Spanish economist that I met with this morning, who has cap and trade in Europe, says that that will not work. And so I believe that we have a long way to go before we find a system that includes something similar to cap and trade that will work. We can look straight to Europe to see a system that will not work and does not work.
Congresswoman, one of the mantras of Republicans in the campaign last year was drill, baby, drill. Where does that fit into the Republican vision now after the election?
We do need an all-of-the-above approach to energy, and that includes producing domestic oil and gas offshore and onshore, but it also includes solar and wind. We cannot, though, rely totally on solar and wind to address this. We have to have nuclear in the equation. We have to have oil and gas in the equation, and wind and solar, and biofuels.
But no longer just a drill, baby, drill mantra. It sounds like, Congressman, very quickly before you go, you're holding the congressional seat that used to be held by Dick Cheney. He went to go on to be Vice President of the United States. Do you have any such aspirations?
I do not. I'm very proud of Dick Cheney, as is the state of Wyoming. I am honored to be representing the people of Wyoming and look forward to representing their interests specifically in the U.S. Congress.
Congresswoman Cynthia Lummis, thank you so much for being here. We appreciate it.
Thank you.
Well, Rick, you do hear they know they had to move from where they were at the convention because it wasn't necessarily the most successful messaging for them. It worked to sort of drum up some excitement in their base at the time. But Republicans clearly trying to now make Barack Obama seem like the one who's leaving options off the table.
That's right, although they're not